Good morning. Welcome to Hope Center Online, the inaugural edition, the launch, as they say. I have a message for you today entitled In the Beginning, which seems appropriate for the first day of our online worship service. Welcome to this service designed for people who do not believe. That's right. And that may seem like a very strange thing to say in the launch of a worship service, but it's true. Hope Center Online is for people who don't go to church, those who church people call the unchurched. Frankly, they call you a lot of other things as well, but unchurched is kind of the kindest thing I can pass on. Our purpose here is to answer questions, the kind of questions you likely ask when you find yourself perhaps deeply contemplating life itself. Questions like, where did we come from? Why are we here? Perhaps even arguably more important is, where are we going? Now sure, there are lots of other life and faith challenging questions, but we're going to get to them a little later over time. You may have noticed an interesting statement in one of the slides we showed earlier during the announcements. It said this, and I quote, "Cultural lies conform us, but eternal truth transforms us." And there is another saying that kind of makes my point, and it is this: tell a lie often enough, and people believe it. We just have to look to our neighbors to the south as they go through a massive societal crisis, the biggest since their civil war. I'm talking, of course, about the turmoil surrounding one Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and the future of the United States government, maybe even the country itself. Trump lost in his last bid for re-election, but he would not accept defeat. Instead, he began a campaign to say the election was stolen, and he charged state after state with election fraud, even though many of those states were running the election under the authority of his own Republican government. Despite the country's checks and balances, which, by the way, are very similar to the ones we have for our elections, all of the accounts, tallies, totals, and results of those elections were verified. And of course, Joe Biden is the president. But that hasn't stopped Mr. Trump. He's still continuing his campaign, a campaign that most people believe is not only false, but intentional lies. And hence, if you tell a lie often enough, people, some, will believe it. And that takes me to today's point. And you better brace yourself. I'm going to be a wee bit harsh here, perhaps. I submit that if you do not believe in religion, or more importantly, believe in God, you have been deceived by a campaign of lies. That's right. Now, don't turn off the broadcast, please, and don't get overexcited and want to raise your fist and throw something at the screen. I'm not going to beat you up with this, so just leave it there. And if you just give me a chance to explain, you may even be surprised. You might even change your mind. Now, that's not going to happen today. It'll never happen in one day. It took several decades, frankly, for the cultural lies to conform most of our country. But the good news is this: the eternal truths can still transform us, and I am living proof. If you'll give me the next few Sundays, right here at Hope Center Online, right here, I promise to show you another view, a different perspective than the cultural lies that have been spewed over the last number of decades. And I'll make an even bigger promise to you. I promise that it won't be churchy. Yeah, how's that for a word? It's probably not even a word, but I think you know exactly what I mean. You see, Hope Center is not a church. It's a community facility that's just now starting to open. That's why the launch of this today. We've had a few small activities over the last while, but the best is yet to come. This is indeed a ministry, yes, that's true, but that's just another word for service to the community. Only some of the things we do here are about faith. In fact, most of what we want to do is to simply serve the community needs with facilities for the community groups and programs that we have to offer. You don't have to come to our building. I am not asking you to come to church. The beauty of this online service is really manifold. You can watch and listen whenever you want. You can even watch in bed or any other place or time that suits you. You also don't have to sit through the other stuff. You know what I mean, I'm sure. People you see who don't believe in a life of faith, they also don't get some of the other things we do, like the singing and the praying, perhaps. So here, you don't have to. Just hit the button, fast forward, get through the music. And although I have to say, you might benefit from the praying if you can suffer through that till you understand its power. But I'll say this, music is a language of emotion. And if you get the faith, you'll come to love the music, I can promise you. Yes, what we do online is built around faith, and I will show you it's not religion. In fact, I often confess to people that I hate religion. I hate what people have done in the name of religion. I believe in faith and personal relationships based on love, and most especially based on truth, the kind I already described as eternal truths. Yes, I admit I'm a retired pastor, but you'll quickly realize that I am not your grandfather's pastor. I was not raised in the church. In fact, I was a church rebel, not even a Christian for most of my life. I do not come to religion, but I did find the truth and I found comfort in faith. I didn't read about it. I didn't lose the debate. In fact, I found the truth, stumbled across it, you might say. I cut through the conformity and found the truth. Certainly not in words, not in print, but in action, in real life. As the saying goes, I saw it, I came to believe it, and I was transformed. That was barely over 20 years ago, and it changed my life. And anybody who knew me before will quickly tell you I'm not the same guy today. Some are shocked and will even tell you that I'm altogether different and perhaps a complete opposite of who I used to be. It starts, of course, in the beginning, those famous first 3 words of the Bible. And if you're rolling your eyes saying, oh, here he goes with the Bible, it's probably because they lied to you about the Bible too. I know this is confusing because we were always told the Bible contained 66 books, and everybody thought that's 66 different stories, 66 different accounts, all kinds of confusion as a result of that. It's hard to read, I know. It's even harder to understand. It always amazes me. It has stood the test of time, though, despite how difficult it is to pick up and read, how difficult it is to comprehend. stood the test of time, thousands of years for some of the texts, and still, the number one selling book of all time in the world. There must be a reason, and that's my point. You probably didn't read it, and that's part of the great deception to conformity. The fact is, you'll never get it. The Bible, I mean. You'll never get it until you realize the Bible is one story. One, not 66 books. Those 66 should have been called chapters. Chapters of the same story. A single story from start to finish. And I'll bet you've never seen it that way. Perhaps never even heard it told that way. But until you understand the story, the one story, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. If you'll allow me, I promise, it will make sense. And if you give it an honest evaluation, that's all I ask. Just think about it. Make your choice, whatever that may be. I can live with it. But you might just be transformed. Either way, you'll gain something from the experience. Now, I was going to read a tiny bit about the beginning, but let's leave that to next week. It wouldn't be fair for me to tease or shock you today and then leave you hanging till next week. And let me also be honest about this. It won't be easy. This is not a quick fix. This is not just snap your fingers and do an about face. It won't be easy, but I'll tell you this, it will be worth it. I thank you for watching today. I really hope you'll come back for more next Sunday. And by the way, another reason this online format is really useful, you don't have to go to church. You can watch anytime you want, so feel free to watch it again. And share it if you like. Until next week then, I thank you. I thank Jesus, and I ask God to bless you today and forevermore. Amen. Hope to see you next week.